Django is a super fast, secure Python framework using which you can build web applications. So in order to get started using Django, just go and visit this particular page. I'll just put this particular page link in the description so that you can directly come and see whatever the information you need to know about the Django. I'll be working with you throughout this particular project, so you don't have to actually visit this particular page, but it's good if you go to this page and just start reading what actually Django is and how it can make your life easier as a web developer. So this particular page is the main page of the Django. You can see the documentation here if you are like stuck anywhere in the video. It's like very difficult documentation, but once you get hold of this particular documentation, you will understand how easy the Django is. So in order to make the Django work on a system, we need to have Python installed. Just have to go to python.org/downloads and download the latest version of Python. It is available for Mac, Windows, Linux, whichever the operating system you are using right now. Another important thing I need to tell before we started is you need to have VS Code installed on your system. VS Code is a text editor, moreover like IDE. It's freely available for Windows, Linux and Mac, so you can download it and you just have to install it. Once you have these two softwares installed on your system, we can proceed using Django. I'm in my projects folder. You can create any kind of folder in your system. Once you create this particular folder, make sure you open up your terminal and let's just check whether Python is actually installed on our system. If you're on Mac, just type Python 3 -- version. If you are on Windows, this command won't work. You just have to type Python -- version. So as long as you can see this version is printed and it's greater than 3, we are good to go. Once Python is installed, we need to install this particular Django framework on our system. So installing it is very easy. You can just click download here and you will get the link how we can install it. Just one single command. I won't be copying pasting it, but you can copy paste it also. It's just hit install Django. I already have it installed on my system, so it's not installing, but if you are running it for the first time, it will install the Django on your system. You can just copy paste it or you can just type it out however I type it here. Once Django is installed on your system, we just need to go to this particular project directory, that will be cd desktop projects in on my case, but you can change it also. Let me just clear it the screen, and in this particular project directory we'll be start creating Django project. So creating your first Django project is very easy. So let me walk you through it. You just have to type Django admin start project and you have to name that particular project. I'll just type my project name as my app. Why not? It's not my app, my shop. Why not? It's my shop. So once this particular line is executed, you just have to go to that particular project file which Django created for us, and you just have to do ls. Once you do ls, you can see all the files it created us. We'll be learning what is this manage.py and my shop folder which it have created, but before we learn it, we just have to open this particular folder using Visual Studio Code. You just have to drag it onto Visual Studio Code icon on your Windows or Mac, and this particular folder is opened up in Visual Studio Code. It created two particular files for us. That would be one folder named my shop and one manage.py. We'll be learning what are these folders and what does this settings.py means, what is this URL, wcgi, wsgi.py, etc. once we proceed this video series. But as of now, you don't have to worry about anything. You just need to open up one terminal here, just by going here and clicking terminal, and this terminal gets opened. You can use this particular terminal which was opened previously also, but I like using this particular integrated terminal so that I can understand what's happening for better way. Just have to type one single command and we are good to go, and we can understand whether the Django is installed properly on our system and whether this project is ready and we can run this server. So the command which I'm looking forward would be python 3 manage.py run server. This particular command will let us run the server of this particular web app. Make sure you type Python for your Windows, and if you're on Mac or Linux, just type Python 3. Once this particular command is here, and we just have to click enter, and it will get some files for us. But don't worry about that. We just need this particular message here. That would be Django version 3.1.6. Doesn't matter, version might be different. Starting development server at this particular link and quit the server with Control C. Just have to open up this particular link. Let me just copy paste it and open it up in the website. Okay. So this particular server is ready and it's serving from this particular project files. So we have successfully installed Django on our system and we are good to go. In this video, we are going to learn more about Django file structure, which we got from last video, which we have installed Django and we have successfully ran this particular application. I have stopped the server, but if your server is still running, let it be like that. I'll just run it again in my system. That is Python 3 manage.py run server. If you are on Windows, just make sure it is just Python 3, Python, not Python 3. If you are on Mac, just type as I typed, that is Python 3 manage.py run server. Once you ran this particular server, if you open up 127.0.0.1:8000, that is the same number which they give here, then you will get the server running. Let me start by talking regarding the basic folder structure which we got. db.sqlite we are not going to talk in this particular video. There is dedicated video for db.sqlite. Just see it in the database models video. I'll explain what is this particular file. Let me go to next file, that is manage.py. In manage.py we will be doing all the administrative stuff. We are not going to type anything in this particular folder, but whatever we require Django to be doing, that particular thing we can command using this particular file. That is, example of this is here only. My Python 3 manage.py run server. Manage.py is this particular file and run server is the command which is used for running this particular server. That can be done by using this particular file, and Django takes care of creating server for us by itself, so you don't have to focus much regarding this particular file. We just have to run few commands which will be running whenever we require it to be run. Now the next folder is my shop. That is the same name as the main project name which you have given when you ran Django admin start project main my shop, and this folder name is also same as my shop. So let me start by looking at the important file in this particular file structure, that is settings.py. Settings.py is used for making sure certain setting is done in a certain way which we want whenever we require it to be used. For example, this particular installed app settings, whenever we going to create new application or we are going to install certain application from the internet by using pip command, we are going to come here and we are going to add another line which indicates another app is installed. Middlewares, we are going to not worry about this particular thing right now, and templates, we are going to use this particular feature in third video. So if you want to like understand, just skip to that video. But other than that, nothing is there to explain in this particular thing. And there are certain other things which is database. For that also I am going to make dedicated video where I will be explaining. Just understand that this particular file includes all the settings for this particular Django project. So if you want to change something in the Django, we have to come here and we have to add certain line using which we can change. If you want to like know more about this particular file, you can go to Django documentation. You can go just by clicking this particular link in the server main page, or else you can check the description also. I'll just put one link to Django documentation for understanding more regarding the settings.py file. Other than that, there is urs.py. This particular file is used for serving certain URLs from the Django. That is, if you want to serve /admin, /about, /services, anything like that, we have to come here and we have to put it here. Admin is already present. So if I just go to /admin, I can see there is certain thing in here. We don't know regarding how we can get this username password right now, but we'll figure out in like next upcoming videos. So we don't have to worry regarding it. But as of now, let's just focus on this URL patterns, which is used for sending certain HTTP response to the front end. That is, this particular page also is being served from this file, but Django does it for us, so we don't have to put any extra thing in here. But if you are going to change this particular page, we need to modify this particular file. That we'll be doing right now. So in Django, everything is done using apps. You can think apps as folder structure using which you can do certain functionality for the user. For example, if you are building an e-commerce site, cart can be one app, products can be one app, and something else, shipping details, can be one app itself. So all these things are apps which will be the folder in this particular file structure. We are going to create one app right now which just serves the file for us. That is, if user goes to /about, we are going to display about. If user just comes to this particular link, that is the index page, which we are going to serve a certain page using the app itself. So let me start by creating one app. So in order to create the app, we have to run certain command, that is Django admin start app, and we can name this app as anything. I'll be naming it as pages. So once I run this command, a new folder structure is created. It's actually similar to this particular folder structure, but there are certain extra files which we require it for this app to be functional. Let me start by going to views file. This views file is the meat part of this Django app. By using this particular file, we are going to serve anything we want to the user. If you want to make any kind of calculation, or if you want to ask database to get certain item, that time we are going to use this particular file. Here we can write Python function that starts by defining this function, and let me name this function as home page. Okay, once I name this function, I have to add certain parameter for it. it accepts HTTP request, that is inside request object, because whatever we are going to send from here, that is /about /admin /contact, whatever it is, it's HTTP request. So we require this request object to perform certain operation in this particular function. So let me start by writing this function. Usually a function has certain calculation or like certain operations for it, but in the end we have to return something. So in this particular function we can return hello world, but you have to understand returning hello world as a plain text won't do any good for us, because we have to send it using HTTP response. So that's why Django gives us one very good helper that we can just import from Django.http import HTTP response. Using this particular HTTP response object, we are going to return the hello world. So let me just type HTTP response here, and we are going to send hello world. Now you got to be thinking, if I just write this much, will the server work? First let me just run the server before I do any kind of change. Once the server is running, still it's not doing any kind of change. It's not doing any kind of change because we don't know what's happening when the browser hits this particular URL. Before that, we have to link this particular pages app to our main app folder. That we can do it by going to settings, as I said earlier. If you want to add certain app from the internet or from our own folder structure, we can just come here and we can just write the name of the app itself. So once I write the name of the app, it will that is pages. Once I write the correct name of the app itself, it ran the server again, and now it knows what is this particular app and how we can use this app. So if I again go back to here and reload this folder, nothing happens, because we require this particular URL folder to tell us that what happens when we hit that /route. It can be /, it can be about, or it can be contact, anything it can be. So whatever it is, we have to put inside this particular file. In this file, we just have to type path, and if it is like home page, we don't have to write anything here. It's empty. If it is empty, that means it's just the /. I guess it should work, or we have to put this. I'm not sure. Like if certain error comes, we'll just fix it later stage. So let me just type path, and once I put this particular single quote, I need to link this particular app's view fold files home page function. So let me just close this thing and come back to this particular folder. If I want to link this particular thing from the page, we have to import it first. That would be from pages.views import the view name, the function name which we require is home page. So we just have to come here and type home page, and once we type home page, we just have to put it right here, and when we come here, it will just display hello world. Let me walk you through this particular thing again. When user hits /, that time this particular file gets executed, and when this file executes, it will look for what is there in the main route, that is /, and it goes and it searches for home page, and home page is the same thing which we imported from pages.views, and if you go to pages app, that time we can find in the view what we are going to return, that is HTTP response hello world. Let me try to do same thing for /about. If I go here, it says nothing found, but it's okay, we are going to fix it. We just have to come back here to urls.py, and we just need to add path, and we just have to put about slash. Don't forget that slash, it will give certain weird error if we don't put and here we are going to write about page, which we need to import from pages.views. You are seeing error here, but it's okay. We are going to write this particular function in the views folder. So I just have to go here and create another function that is def about page, which will take request and it should return HTTP response, and this response would be this is about page. Okay, once I put this particular thing, the server should run fine, and if I come here, if I refresh, it shows me this is about page. But the thing is, just writing this particular string is not enough for us to build something, and you can write HTML also here. So if I want to write something like h1, and I can put entire tag itself. So if I write h1, this is about page. If I refresh this, as you can see, this is h1 tag. But typing HTML in here, it's like trouble. So we have to render template for this. We have successfully created views, and we have linked this view to this particular URL file, and we are able to see something in about page, and if you go to like the main home page, we can see hello world here. But the problem in this particular approach is if we want to put certain HTML in here, that time we are not able to fulfill what actually is required for creating HTML file. Just understand, we can't put index.html in here for displaying this hello world, because we can't fit entire content for index.html in one file. Imagine if you have 10 functions and 10 files need to be rendered from this particular file, and putting every HTML in this particular function is not a good idea that time. So for fixing this particular thing, the Django has something called as templates. Think of templates as HTML files, but in on steroids, meaning it can do certain things which HTML file can't do. That is, it can call some loop, it can render the logic based features, I mean logic based functions, meaning if you want to show something when user is logged in only, that time you can use if statement, and you can render login button if user is not logged in, and sign out button if user is logged in. Okay, I'll show you it in a while, but let me just start by creating one basic template. For creating template, you just have to create templates folder in the main page, I mean main folder structure, that is templates. And once I create templates here, I can create whatever the templates I require. Once before creating any kind of templates, I need to make sure I go to settings.py, and I will see this templates variable in here that includes all these objects inside it, and the main thing I am focused on is this dir. Here we are going to put templates, that is the folder name which we have given to here. So this particular templates folder indicates this particular template. Let me start by creating template for a home page. So homepage template can be named anything, but it's good choice if we just type it as home.html. Once I type home.html, I can render out any kind of HTML in here. So let me just render h2 and say hello, I am from templates. Okay, so let me go here and let me use certain function which Django already imported for me. that is render. We can just return render and we can send the template which is inside this particular folder, that would be home.html. Once I type this thing and if I go here and refresh, it gives me error saying positional argument template name. Okay, the template should have a name, that would be home.html. Okay. Okay. The error in this particular file is I need to send a request as first parameter, and I just have to refresh it here, and the template is rendered. I could have cut this particular scenario from this situation, or I might cut it, but the thing is, you need to understand that if we know how to fix this particular error, then only we'll be able to become the best programmers in the world. So best programmers in the world we become just by fixing the errors like this. So I might not cut it from the video. Let me start by creating same template for this particular about page. So instead of sending about HTTP response, let me just remove it and render a template. I need to put this request object in while I render something from here. And once I put request object, I can render the template name. I know I haven't created it yet, but let me go to templates folder and create one new template for this about.html. Once I create about.html, I can render out template and I can tell about us. And when I go to about us page for here onwards, I'll see the template itself, that is about us. So instead of just putting h2 and h2 in the home page and about page, we can just render out the HTML itself with all the things which we require. And the shop name is my shop, and I can just put h1 and say that welcome to my shop, and I can just put certain things as lorem 5, which will give me just random 5 text. Once I put this, if I go to home, I'll see entire home page itself. I can do same for about .html also, and I can change here about us. This particular thing will just get displayed in the top here, like how we got my shop. If we come here, if we just go to about page, you can see my shop about us. Welcome to, not required welcome to, we can just change it as about us. So after I type this correctly, we are able to move on now, and we can see about us here. So once we have created this about.html and home.html, which is actually rendered from this particular view, which is linked to this URL file, which just sends about page whenever the about is requested from this particular browser, and the about page view gets rendered from views folder, and it will send about.html. That's a template which we can see here has certain HTML in it. We have set up the views that we require, that would be home page and about page, and we have mounted the router properly so that it loads whenever we use the server which is running locally. And as you can see, the index view is showing us this particular HTML file, that is the template. And if you go to /about, then we'll be able to see the about page. But if you have noticed something here in the home page and about page, we can see a lot of repeated stuff here. That is, from here till here, the HTML is repeated, and this repetition is fine if it is like very small like this. But when you have like lot of text, like for example, if you have something like one nav bar here and lot of things go there, and you have to copy paste again and again to different pages, that is about page, home page, services page, etc. So in order to avoid that copy paste, imagine you copy paste it, and once if you copy paste and if you want to change something, for example, if you change this link as about us, that time you have to go to every single page and you have to fix that particular link. So that's not a really easy way to code any kind of HTML file, or as long as any kind of web application. That's why we are going to use some kind of templating feature, which I mentioned in last video. That is how Django provides us the templating and how we can use to do certain logical things here. So first of all, I want to create a base layout for this particular project. I'll show you how it is done. Just have to create one new file name, and we can name it as base.html. Once we name this particular file as base.html, we need to write any kind of HTML in here. Like if I just type exclamatory, and if I just type exclamatory and tab, the entire snippet is pasted here. I showed it to you in last video. So once this particular snippet is pasted, we just have to give any kind of name here. That would be my shop. Once I name this particular project, this particular file, that is base.html, I can directly go to body here, and I can literally create some kind of block here. If you don't understand this now, don't worry, but you will understand once I complete this particular project file. And once I create it, you will be like so much easy to work with the Django. So let me get started using Django templating. So I just have to put curly braces and percentage, and you have seen it properly. It is curly braces and percentage. Once I put this particular thing, I can type block content, and once I type block content, I need to end that particular block. That I can do by telling end block, and I just have to type this much things. I don't have to write anything inside this. Once I write this particular thing, now this particular base.html file is usable throughout any pages we create here. So let me explain you what does it mean. So if you see here, you can see my shop written over here. Okay, so let me just remove entire thing and just type h1, and I'll just write it as hello world. So if I just refresh here, you can see there is nothing printed out here. That indicates this particular page doesn't have any kind of title tag. So how we can extend this particular base.html to this particular home.html file, and if we are able to do this particular thing right, then we'll be able to see the title of base.html in this particular file. So let me show you how it is done. Just have to go to home.html and remove whatever the content you have, and we just have to type percentage symbol with the curly braces like how I written in the previous page, and we just have to type here extends, and we have to type the name of the file, that is base.html. Once I type this particular thing, now this particular page have access to that particular base.html tag. But if I write something in here, it won't be displayed as of now, because it doesn't know what particular thing to display here. That is, in this particular file, here we need to make sure that particular hello world comes and displays, making this particular my shop remain same, and it can display the hello world here. So let me go to home page and make this thing work. Just have to do exactly same like how I did here, so I can just copy paste it. You understand, like, focus here carefully so that you won't make any mistake. Once I type this block content and end block, I just copy pasted from this particular file, that is base.html. You can directly come here and you can start typing whatever you want that page to display. That is, hello Django is awesome. Once I type this particular thing, if I refresh, you can see hello Django is awesome with my shop title over here. But if I go to /about, I am seeing the same as my shop about us, which is inside this particular about HTML. In order to make this particular page work with that base HTML content, we just have to again do percentage curly braces with the percentage symbol, and we can type extends, and we can type here the name of the file which we want to extend it with the, and once we write that, we need a content block, that is don't forget percentage symbol here. Once you put the percentage symbol, and we can type block content, and here also we need to end the block which we started, that is end block. Once I end block, I can directly type whatever I want here, and you can see about us with my shop printed here. So that's all for this video, guys. You have learned how you can like create the layouting easy. But before we go, I just want to like teach something else here. In this particular file, if you put something, for example, if you put some kind of text saying my shop, that time what it happens, it is displayed in both files, that is about file as well as index file. That's why it's so much easy for us to create any kind of link between every file, so that we don't have to repeat again and again. So easiest way to do this particular thing would be, example, if I put one link here which sends us to slash, that is home page, and if I put another link here which sends us to about page, that is about, you can see how easy for me to do something here. It will go to about page and it will go to home page. So it's so much easy with the Django to create this templating problem, and as you can see, templating problem solver, and as you can see, this particular page doesn't have any kind of repeated text. Only what is required in this home.html we can put here, and everything else that is CSS files or any kind of script, everything can be linked with this base.html, and we don't have to look at it again and again, but it can be reused in home.html and about.html and tons of files which you create here. And another thing which we can do is, instead of putting this particular thing here, we can create another file called as we'll just create another file and we'll name it as inc. Different people have different way of doing this, but I like to keep it as inc, that means includes, and we can directly type navbar.html. Once I name this as navbar.html, I can just cut this particular thing from this page, which will make this go away in this page. I can directly come and paste it here, and I can go here to the base.html, and instead of including, extending something, I can just include that file in here. That we can achieve. It can be achieved by typing include and inc folder /navbar.html, which is the file which we created here inside templating directory inc folder, and inside that navbar.html. If I just put this particular thing, still this particular thing works, and you should understand how easy to make the content work in this particular thing. Meaning you don't have to repeat any kind of thing. Imagine there are like 7 links, and if you change one particular link, if you don't follow this layouting feature, we have to go to 10 files and we have to edit manually the link of any one particular link which we change. Usually when we are developing something, we tend to change the name of about to about us and different things. That's why this particular feature is very useful, because you just have to come to this particular file and you just have to change something in here, and every page will get that particular change. So let me create same for the footer also. Let me go to base.html. No, before I go to base.html, I just have to go to inc folder and I have to create a new file, and we can name it as footer.html, and I'll just put a p tag which says copyright my shop 2021. If I just do this and if I come here and paste, not paste, I'll just copy this particular thing and paste here and change the name as footer.html. This autocorrect is giving me a problem in here, but it's okay, now it's fine. So it gives us the this is little bit problematic in the Django, so I'll just put the footer tag in here, then I'll just paste it inside this so that it works. So you can see copyright my shop 2021, and if I go to about pages, still I can see the same copyright message. And in this particular video, we'll be learning models and how we can do the migration. So in last video, we were able to set up the templating and we were able to create this base template which can be linked with home and about page, so that everything is easier for us to work in this particular project. So now we can proceed to create models and all those stuff. But before I do that, I need to make sure that this particular page is at least looking better. So I thought, let me just create some kind of CSS file and type it out all the CSS which is required to make this page at least look little bit better. But instead of that, I'll be using Bootstrap, which is CSS framework for building some kind of website easily without having to code the CSS by ourselves. I'll just show you how it can be done. You just have to go to this particular page, and this is getbootstrap.com, and I'll just link this particular this particular website in the description, so that you can directly copy it or you can directly click on it and go to this page. And once you go to this page, just scroll down a little bit and copy this particular CDN. Entire link you have to copy. Once you copy this link, just come back here, and as we did the templating feature of block content, we don't have to, we have set it up the layout. We don't have to go to about page and home page and paste this particular CSS link. We can directly go to base.html, and if we paste the CSS link, we are good to go. And as you can see, now the text is looking like this, and once I pasted this particular file and if I refresh, the text changes. That indicates Bootstrap is kicking in, and now we are able to use any Bootstrap class in our project. So let me go to home page and let me style. Before I go to home page, let me style some things in the base only. I want entire page to have a little bit of padding in the right and left. That can be achieved by typing .container and enter if you are using VS Code, or you can directly type whatever I have typed here, and I'll just paste out So I'll just paste out whatever was left in this particular file. Once I have pasted it, I can directly go here. If I view it, it will give me little bit of space from right to left. I mean, it's still in the right also, but you can see, you'll be able to see it in a while. So once I do that, let me go to includes and style the navbar. Instead of putting everything in here, I'll just cut it for a while and let me type the bootstrap classes for making this particular thing good. I have just cut it, make sure it's still in your clipboard, don't copy it again. So I can type any bootstrap class which is available for me. First I would like to start with the text center. It will make the text center so that if I go here, everything is centered out. And BG gray. So does this make it? No, I don't think so. So instead of that, I can directly type BG primary. So if I put BG primary, I can type text white. Instead of BG primary, I'll just make it as BG info. That gives us a little bit better color. And I require little bit of space in the top and bottom, so I can type MY5. That gives me more space, not MY, just make sure it is PY5. So once I do PY5, I'll get little bit spacing in here. So now the navbar is looking at least decent. If I go to about page, it shows me about. If I go to home page, it shows me Django is awesome. Now we are able to proceed with the doing some kind of modeling in this particular video. So let me go to pages folder, and in the pages folder, if I click models, I'll be able to create any kind of model. In this particular video, I just want to show you how we can create one page where many products are displayed with its title and little bit description and pricing. So my model should have similar things. So let me start by creating the model here. Just have to go to models.py in the pages folder, and we have to create a class name. We have to create a class which can be named as anything, but for better understanding, I'll just keep it as product, which is the name of the product which we are creating. That is, we want the products to be displayed here. Once I create the class, I have to use this particular models as constructor, and we can use it as models.model. Once I use this particular thing, I'll be able to create all the fields which we required in order to display the product itself. So I'll just type out the fields which we require. That would be, we require product name. I'll just set it as name because it's product model, so name. And we require description, and we require the price of it. And another thing we might require is created at. That is the time when this particular file is created. So name can be a text. So I will just, name can be a char field. So I just have to type a model. No, that is I made a typo here. It should be models, and I will just type models here, and it can be char field. So if I type char field, it need to have a length for it, that is max length, and I'll just keep it as 255. You can choose whichever the length is better for your project, but I'll just keep it as 255. And description can be a text field. So for that we have to type text field, not text choices, but text choices. It is text field. So once I put the text field here, it doesn't require max length because it will give us the sufficient text to put it as description. And price, usually people like to keep it as number field, but I will keep for this tutorial as a char field. Why not? I'll just keep it max length as 255. Once I finish doing that, we have to type created at. So whenever this particular products get created, I want this field to be filled. So it can be done by typing models dot date time field, and the value for this can be auto now add, and we can set this particular thing true, so that whenever this particular product is added, the time gets updated automatically and with the date. So once we write this particular thing, we need to continue and migrate this particular model. So how we can do that? We just have to come to terminal here, and you have to press Ctrl C, which will stop the server, and we have to type Python 3 manage.py make migrations. If I type this particular command, it will create a migration for our pages app, and it will tell create model product. Once we make this particular migration work, that time we'll be able to go to this particular file here, and it will create a migration which will update our database. So now you might be thinking, I didn't create any kind of database or any kind of link to MySQL or MongoDB or PostgreSQL, but you have to understand that Django by default comes with db.sqlite. I have told about this in first video, saying there is db.sqlite file, which I'll explain in this particular video. So that db.sql3 is created by Django whenever we created this project in the beginning. So if you go to settings.py, you will find a database section. In this database section, you can change the backend links to MySQL, MongoDB, PostgreSQL or anything. And by seeing your database, you have to type whatever the required authentication things for that particular database. That would be, if you are using MySQL, you need to pass which whether it's local host or some remote host, username, password, database name, etc. But we are using SQLite, which comes by default with the MongoDB, so it automatically puts it for us in this particular folder. Because of that, we'll be able to use this model and in this particular database, and whenever we created models here, we were able to directly make the migration work. But if you see here, the 18 unapplied migrations, we have created a new migration here, but it's still not applied, because if you run the server, it will give me error saying you have 19 unapplied migration. That means if you run this particular command, that is python 3 manage.py make migration, it will just create the migration, it won't run the migration. If you want to run the migration, you have to type python 3 manage.py and migrate. So if I write this particular command, it will migrate everything for us, and if you change something in this particular file, it will automatically generate a migration for us. For example, if I add here sale is equal to models.chart field, it will just indicate us whether sales, what kind of sales is available for this particular product. So if I just type models.character and if I save it, now if I run migrate command, it won't migrate us anything, but you have to type that command called python 3 manage.py make migrations, which will create the migration option for us. Just have to type any kind of whenever we add some kind of new field, it will just tell us to type something here. So we'll just type it as date time, no, not date time, time zone dot now. So if you just type this particular thing, it will create the migration for us. Don't worry about this much, because it just said that if we don't have any, if we add new field, it can't be directly empty. So we need to have some kind of default value, that is time zone dot now. So it won't do any kind of extra thing for us, but it will just let us create a new migration file for us. So making this migration file will help us to migrate the thing, which we can do by saying python 3 manage.py migrate. So it will create another new migration which will apply it to the database. So if you go to MySQL, I mean, if you used MySQL with this particular project, I didn't use MySQL, but if you will use the MySQL, then if you go to PHP MyAdmin, you will be able to see all the database name, which also include a table named product and all the details which is required, which we put in this particular file. We were successfully able to create models and make the migrations. And in this video, we are going to look at how we can work with the Django administration. That is when we go to /admin, Django provides us a username and password, which we don't know what is username and password and how we can use it. So if you once we go inside this page, you will be like amazed to see what and all Django provides us by default. So first of all, we have to create the user which can be used to log into this username and password. So let me go to command line and let me just clear it out first. Once I clear it out, I can directly type a command called python 3. Yes, you guessed it right. Everything starts with python 3 manage.py and make super user. So this command won't work because we have to use create super user. See, I made one mistake and Django told me what needs to be done. So let me just change the command as python 3 manage.py create a super user. If I directly type this, okay, I made again type mistake. So let me correct this problem. This always happens when we program, so you don't have to think like why I'm making mistakes. You will also make mistakes, and when you are doing mistake, you just have to go back and correct it, and you have to fix it. So let me type this thing properly. Create a super user. So if I type this particular thing properly, that time it will ask me what username I need to type. So let me type it as Manjunath, which is also will be default if we don't type anything, but let me just type it as my Manjunath, and if I do enter, it will ask me to type a email address. I'll just put one dummy email address, manjunath.com, and password I can keep anything, but let me just type 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and if I just enter it, it will ask me again to type the password. Okay. It will just tell me to bypass the password validation, but I am a super user, so I can just type yes. So it will just bypass it. Don't do it on production. Keep your password like little bit complex and secure. So now we got the username, that is Manjunath here, and password which I have set it to how to set it for yourself. I just set it as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, long password. Okay, if I just click login, it won't let me do anything because server is not running. So make sure your server is running, and I can directly type python 3 manage.py run server, and it will allow me to run the server, and it should be logged in by default. If you are not logged in, just type username and password, and you will be able to see this page. And this page is by default created for us by Django. We don't have to do anything. It's just awesome to see this particular page because you can directly go to users and you can add user, and the user which I have created is still here, and I can go and edit it. I don't think any other framework provides you this particular ease of use user interface by default, that we don't have to install any kind of third party package. So in this particular thing, it would have been very really useful if this particular product also was there. So don't worry, Django provides us how we can like add products here, edit products here, and update and look all the products. So we are going to do it in this particular video in a while. So let me go to this particular folder, and I'm in Pages app. Let me close this migration folder which I have opened that time. So once I close this migration, I have one file named admin.py. In this particular folder, I can register the model which I have created in this particular file. So let me just import it first. So in order to import, I can directly type from .models, import the model which I required, that is product model. So let me just go to admin.py and make it import product. And once I import this model, I can type admin.sites.register, and I can put this product model in here. Once I put this particular product model, it will give me error because I just have to type site. I don't need sites. So once I change this particular thing properly and make sure it is admin.site.register, otherwise it will give us the error here. And if you include this particular model inside it, and if you go now here and refresh, you will be amazed. The products model is already here, and we can directly come here and add products. That is just awesome. I don't think any other framework provides you this much ease of user management. That's why Django is awesome for freelancers and all, because you can use this particular thing and you can build the product. I mean, you can create the client projects just by creating one model. You will be able to add it, update it, edit it with awesome user interface. So let me just add few products. I'll just add it as an Android phone, and description I can keep it as this is Android phone, and price I can keep anything. I'll just keep it as 2,000 rupees, and sale you can pay no sale by labor. Okay, if I just click save, it will create entire product for us, but it will tell me this as product.object. And if I add another product, Apple phone, this is new Apple phone, price will be 2,500. It's always costlier than Android. And sale 100 rupees, $100, 100 off on MRP. So if I just save it, it will add another product, but it is not giving us like good easy usable name. So just have to go to this particular file, and I have to define a function called __str, and it gave me the suggestion because of the plugin which I am using. If you don't have plugin, don't worry, but you just have to type def __, this is __ str, and __ in the bracket just put self, and you can just return self.name. And if I just refresh here now, it will give me, okay, I have to migrate it forward. Okay, now we are able to see the Apple phone. You don't have to migrate it, just make sure it's saved, and you will be able to refresh it here. So once you have refreshed it and the product is available, now we can go back to the main file of here, and instead of displaying hello Django is awesome here, we just have to make sure these products which we have added in the admin section displayed here. So let me go to views of this particular page. By using this particular view, let me just make sure I will be able to display the products in here. So I just have to go to this particular section of the home page, and first we need to import the model which we require. It can be imported from .models, import, the model name is product, so import product. Once I import the product, I need to set a variable that would be products is equal to product dot, and we'll be able to do different methods here, but I need to use objects dot all. This will give me all the objects which are available in the product model, that is the product table in the database. So once I get that product, I just need to create a data object, and inside this data object I can make a products colon products, which will just give us one data object, and we can pass it while we are rendering this particular view, that is home.html, and we'll just pass it out here, and once we pass it out here we'll be able to use it in the home.html. So as of now there is just hello Django, this is awesome here. If I just refresh it will just show hello Django, this is awesome. Okay, but we need to look through those products which we got from products here. Even though we mentioned here data, we don't have to use data object, we just have to render through products object. So I just have to come here in the home page and I have to create one for loop, and make sure you put this syntax only, that is percentage symbol with the curly braces, and I can just type product in products, and I'll be able to use this particular product object inside this, but I'll just make sure this is ended, that is end for. Okay, and whatever type inside this it will be in the loop. So let me just show you by putting h2, and I can just type product dot title, which will give me the title, and if I type product dot description, it will give me the description. So if I just refresh it, the two products are displayed here, and description is not being displayed because I might have spelled it wrongly. So let me just copy paste it from here. And if I just paste it properly, should be able to display the description. Okay, it's not displaying the title properly because there is no title, it's just the name. So let me just refresh it. Once I refresh, I'll be able to see Android phone and Apple phone here. And if we go to /admin in another page, /admin, that time we'll be able to add a new product that can be Linux laptop, and this is Linux laptop, and price can be 2,500, and the sale big discount of $500. And if I just save it, Linux laptop is added, and I just have to come here and refresh it, and the Linux laptop is available. I can also put some other details. For example, I can put the price, which will just give me the price of the product, and I can also put the created at that will just give us the data when it was created. Django formats everything nicely, but we can use Bootstrap to make it look even better. So just have to create a div here dot row, which will give me the closing and ending div. So let me just put it outside this thing. It will give me a row, and if I just take everything in here, and okay, this is supposed to be outside this thing, and make sure you cross check it and make sure everything is fine and it looks exactly like in mine. So let me just copy it and tell folder mb-4, which will give me the columns. These are our bootstrap classes, so you don't have to focus much on this thing. Let me just make it a little bit better by saying card dash body p3, which will give a little bit much better view than existing one. So it will just let us make the things look little bit beautiful than by default. And if I delete some kind of, if I just modify some kind of product here, for example, instead of Apple phone, I'll just type Apple phone updated, then it will show me the updated version in here, that is Apple phone updated. So in here, if I go and select something and delete it, then it will ask me should I like delete it. Then once I click it, the product is deleted and it's gone from here also. So it's very useful if you are doing freelancing. The Django is very useful for this particular scenario because the backend is, the CRUD functionality of admin panel is already hooked in. We just have to go to admin.py and register the model which we create in this particular file, that is the product model here. So that's it for this video, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.